Hi, I'm Vanessa Swing, and my project is called Good For You Gardens. The site location is in Sunnyvale, California, in the United States. My mentor is Amy Strauss. I have always loved plants since I was a young child. When I went to college, I decided to study biotechnology with a plant science emphasis, and my first job was doing research on vegetables. I later switched to tech as it was hard to find jobs in the area I was living. After many years in tech, I decided I needed to follow my passion and went back to school. This led me to permaculture. Our vision is to create a small suburban permaculture haven that includes California natives and utilizes sustainable methods. Here I have listed some of our smarter goals. Our site is located in Santa Clara Valley in Sunnyvale, which is located a little bit north of San Jose, California, and about 50 miles south of San Francisco. The house is located at a busy intersection with neighbors behind and on one side. The home was built in 1961 on land that was previously an orchard. The original inhabitants of the area were the Ohlone Native Americans. Our climate is Mediterranean with mild, moist winters and warm, very dry summers. Most of our rain typically falls in January and February, except this year we hardly got any and are in a severe drought. Our average precipitation is about 17 inches. We are in the USDA Hardiness Zone 9B. Maps. The site is located on a corner lot. There are above ground utility lines that surround the property. The front yard has the gas line, sewer line, and water lines, so no large shrubs or trees should be planted in these areas. We have very large trees on the side yard that drop sap and needles everywhere. Our neighbor also has a very large oak tree that hangs over our roof and shades our yard for much of the day and deposits a lot of leaves. The backyard is mostly a permeable paver patio and fake turf. There's a shed in the backyard and a bus stop next to the side yard. The current zones are Zone 1, Zone 2, and Zone 3. The street-facing side yard, which is currently Zone 3, isn't frequented that much, and there are 3 very large trees with smaller trees and shrubs intermixed. The trees are located too close to the house and the power lines. This area is next to a bus stop with a lot of pedestrian traffic. Trash such as knives, lighters, alcohol bottles, and dog poop are constantly having to be picked up. This area does not feel very welcoming. Our goal after implementation is to change the street-facing side from Zone 3 to Zone 2. To make this happen, the 3 large trees, along with several of the non-native smaller trees and shrubs, are removed, allowing for easier maintenance. Also, a hog wire fence is installed around the perimeter, creating a more protected space for us to garden in. Sectors overview. We have squirrels, raccoons, opossums, and crows that frequent our yard. The house is set about 2 feet above street level. The wind comes in several directions that can be used to our advantage in the summer to cool off the house in the evenings. The front corner area previously had juniper bushes and had been a dumping ground for the last 60 years, so there could be possible toxins, making food growing not a good idea. The sun patterns in the summer start about right here, go all the way around, and end about here. So this gets intense summer sun and is full sun over here and full sun over here. In the winter, the sun starts about here, goes all the way around, and ends about here. So these areas are in full shade for the most part. This area gets a little bit of winter sun. Our water supply is from the city, and our outdoor watering is restricted to 2 times per week due to our severe drought situation. To keep water on site, we plan to install a dry creek bed using a rain chain attached to a gutter system, create a rain garden using water from the air conditioner and heater condensate drain pipe, install 6 rain barrels that will be used to irrigate non-edible plants, and use water that is collected from the shower while the water is warming up to irrigate the garden. The planned built environment will include 6 rain barrels, solar panels, 2 raised beds, a condensate pipe rain garden, dry creek bed, hog wire fence along the perimeter of the property, stepping stones along the driveway, rain barrel pots on wheels, shade structure for the seating area, paths for the front and side yards, and an insect hotel. This is the components map. This is the components list. These are their components and their connections. The items that are in blue bubbles or have blue arrows to them are planned projects. The items in yellow are already existing. Edges and microclimates. The key things to note here is there is no boundary between the sidewalk and the yard. The solution is to put a hog wire fence around the perimeter of the property. The front yard gets intense afternoon in the summer. The front and street facing side yard are in shade in the winter. The southeast corner of the house gets a lot of sun and gets very warm. The backyard and atrium are fenced. Paths, patterns, and flows. The paths are color-coded in this diagram based on the activity. Plants, trees, and gardens. The plan is for the atrium, front, and side yards to primarily consist of California native plants that don't need to be watered more than 1 time per week, once established due to the current drought situation. As of now, the plants are a random collection, so I can see how they behave for clients. The northern side yard gets full sun in the summer, which is great for warm season edible plants if our water restrictions allow for this. The backyard is entirely containers or raised beds, as it is primarily a paver patio and turf. This area will be dedicated to growing food as it gets the best sunlight year-round and visited regularly. Here are some examples in our backyard of the containers that we are using and what is currently planted in them. The large containers are on wheels, so the patio can be arranged based on what it is being used for. Here are some of the wine barrels on wheels with fruit trees that have companion plants. This is the planting plan for the front corner of the yard. The plants next to the driveway are low to the ground to make sure that we can see any young kids that are coming around the corner. They are mostly California natives. The side yard is mixed with warm season edible crops. This is the planting plan for the front yard, which consists of California native grasses and small shrubs that don't require that much water. When picking plants for the front yard, we had to consider the gas, water, and sewer lines below, the driveway visibility, and the neighboring oak tree that doesn't like summer water. The next 2 slides are the species list. They are heavy with California natives that use less water. Social and invisible structures. This project will not be generating revenue, but will serve as a demonstration garden for my clients. We will be doing this project in phases due to the pandemic and inflation affecting our income. The area in which we live is very busy and not a place where your neighbors hang around outside. Working on phase 1 of this project has helped me to get to know some of my neighbors and what is happening in the area. With regards to the legal aspect, Sunnyvale has quite a bit of them. Permits and arborist reports are required for tree removal. They require you to put large trees back in the lot or pay a fee. Being a corner lot, there are visibility requirements, especially around the driveway. We are also responsible for the health of the trees that are next to our property. If we prune the neighbor's tree or cut roots that are on the property and the tree declines, we can be liable. We are also in a severe drought and watering has been restricted to 2 times per week or get fined. Technology, transportation, and energy. We hope to take public transportation again to events once the pandemic is under control. We would love to get solar panels since we get a lot of sun where we live. We currently get our power from the local power company, but we opted to pay a little more to include power generated from sustainable sources such as solar and wind. Here we have animals, waste, and nutrient cycles with their inputs and outputs. Notes, diagrams, and interviews. I have chosen to include the excerpt of the stakeholder interview so you can learn a little bit more about the site and the people involved. Personal boundaries. Tasks will have to depend on our physical strength since we don't have large equipment. I need to space out the amount that I take on and not expect perfection. To reduce costs, I would like to repurpose what I have on site and either get materials from the city or friends. If possible, I would like to try to grow plants from seeds. I need to have a yard that is low maintenance and will allow me to go on short vacations. Resources. Renewable sources are wind and sun. Tangible site-specific resources are the neighbor's oak tree, food waste, small tree and shrub removal waste, old irrigation pipes, paper bags, junk mail, the downspouts and condensate pipes, garden tower with worm bin for future vermicomposting. And the resources that are needed are money for materials and labor, time to build and implement. This is the implementation timeline. There are 3 phases, and each phase is about a year. Phase 1 starts off with the removal of 3 very large blue Atlas cedar trees that were planted too close to the house and the power lines in the side yard. This will allow us to reclaim space to create a native habitat. So you can see the side yard before the trees and the side yard after the trees were removed. We also want new ducting, insulation, heating, and AC, mini shelf greenhouse, seed starting station, storage shed, hog wire fence, wine barrels on wheels, hugelkultur raised bed, install native plants, dry creek bed using old stepstones, install condensate pipe for rain garden, mulched path using wood chips from cedar removal, stepping stones along driveway, oyas, fruit tree and veggie installation. Here is the condensate pipe in phase 1, being redirected to what I call a rain garden. Here is the dry creek bed with the rain chain. This is what it looked like before. The mini shelf greenhouse, the hugelkultur bed that uses the wood from the side yard tree removal. Phase 2, the goal was to get the rest of the systems in place that we started in phase 1, which is organizing seeds, vermicomposting, warm towers, install native plants, bee and insect hotel, create a path for the side yard, raised beds, wine barrel on wheels, fruit tree, veggie, and installation. And then phase 3 is hopefully that we have the money for some of these bigger ticket items, which is a new roof, new gutter, solar panel, screens for 2 doors, buy and install rain barrels, sails or umbrella for shade, install native plants, fruit tree, and veggie installation. And these are the implementation timelines for each zone and who will do them. So this is zone 1, zone 2. This is our maintenance plan based off zone, task, frequency, and who will do them. When I started this course, it made me realize that I needed to work on my zone 0. I had moved in right before the pandemic started and was still living in boxes and not feeling very settled. So a couple months in, I took a pause to do some house projects so that I could work on unpacking, which took longer than expected, but have really helped me with the flow of my daily life. The design process helped boost my confidence. One of the principles I learned and used very quickly in the design and implementation process was to turn a problem into a solution. I also wanted to take advantage of everything that was offered in the course. I soon learned that I would have to pick and choose the additional items at the end of each module, or I would never get done on time. I loved that there were so many avenues of information to pursue, and I could tailor it to my goals. It was also nice to be able to sit and watch some of the videos with my partner so that he could have some perspective of what permaculture was and is trying to accomplish, and why I was making the changes to our household. I will definitely be going back to the material that I had to skip over to continue this lifelong journey of learning. I would also like to thank my mentor, Amy Strauss, for helping me with this project.